بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الخالق الوجود من العدم وجاعل النور من الظلم ومخرج الصبر من الألم فنشكره على المصائب كما نشكره على النعم ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الأكرم ذي الشرف الأشم والنور الأتم وكمال النبيين والكتاب المحكم سيد ولد آدم الذي بشر به عيسى بن مريم ودعا لبعثته إبراهيم عليه السلام حين كان يرفع قواعد بيت الله المحرم والذي بارك الله به كافة الناس العرب منهم والعجم فسبحان الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في كتابه بعد أن نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما كان الله ليعذبهم وأنت فيهم وما كان الله ليعذبهم وهم يستغفرون. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: الكيس من دان نفسه وعمل لما بعد الموت والعاجز من أتبع نفسه هواها وتمنى على الله الأماني أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Respected audience, dear brothers and sisters, there was this very interesting concept with the people of the past that whenever they would come across non-living things, they would try to initiate conversations with those non-living things. And for people in this current day and age, that may sound like complete nonsense. And we'll say that this makes no sense to us. How is it possible that you could speak to something that's not even living? But for them, it was a way of expression. And it was a way and a means for them to express themselves and express their feelings towards those non-living things. After all, those non-living things are also a fellow creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distributed His creation into two categories. There is one which is the category of uqala, the sensible human beings, and that's the category reserved for the insan. Why do you think the insan has been given an elevated status in the world? Allah says in the Quran, imagine if Allah says that the human being, we have placed him in a respectable area and we have given him a status of respect. He says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ. That indeed, we have given the son of Adam a place of respect in the world, a place of respect in the universe. وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. And we have given him an edge over all the rest of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take a look at yourself in the mirror from top to bottom. Each and every single thing happens to be a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the beauty on our faces, to the feet that we use to walk, to the fingers that we use to grasp things, to the eyes by which we see things. Each and every single thing has been given to us as a blessing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He says, وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. And what else places the son of Adam in a place of respect, in a place of command, is al-id'an li ghayri khalqihi. That the rest of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been made obedient to this insan. So hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the animals, the plant kingdom. We use those things, we cultivate them, we invest in them, and they happen to be a service to this insan, to the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, going back to the topic of speaking to non-living things, there was once a sha'ir who was a ashiq of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he wanted to have a conversation with the moon. It's a very interesting piece of poetry. So the sha'ir, he looked towards the moon. The moon is something which is an extremely beautiful blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, specifically on the 14th when it's a full moon. So he looked up at the moon and he said, لَقَدْ عِشْتَ يَا بَدْرُ دَهْرًا طَوِيلًا وَعَاشَرْتَ مِنْ أَهْلِنَا مَنْ وَبَرْ. He said that, O moon, you have been here since the beginning of times. And all the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, since the beginning of the times until the end of the times, you have been able to get a glimpse of them. And just the other day, I was walking on the trail that's next to Swift Road, and there was a very old tree that I saw. And the bark was coming off, and beneath it you could see old wood. So I was thinking of a similar thing, that nobody knows how long has this tree been here. 3, 4, 5 generations, these plants and the things that may have a longer lifespan than the human being, they witness all these things. And they engage in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he looked up at the moon and he said that you have been here for a very long time. عَاشَرْتَ مِنْ أَهْلِنَا وَانْوَبَرْ. And you have been given the opportunity by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to witness the people before us, the people that we have not been able to see. And what is he implying by that? By that, he's implying the entity of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the devoted band, the Sahaba ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'een. So he says, عَاشَرْتَ مِنْ أَهْلِنَا مَنْ وَبَرْ. Then he starts to plead with the moon. And he says that فَهَلْ لِي بِرَبِّكَ أَخْبَارَهُم. That by the one who holds my hand in his life, فَهَلْ لِي بِرَبِّكَ أَخْبَارَ. I beg you to give me or to tell me a little bit about them. Give me a little glimpse into the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'een. So he says, فَهَلْ لِي بِرَبِّكَ أَخْبَارَهُم. Some khabar, some little news. وَحَدِّثْ بِهَا خَبَرًا عَنْ خَبَرٍ. And then once you start talking, then please don't stop. Because just like a waterfall that is coming down and it's torrential, there's no stopping it. Similarly are the news and the akhbar of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So then he says that the moon, the moment I started to mention Rasulullah and the Sahaba to it, فَأَبْدَعْ اشْتِيَاقًا لِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ. It started to brim with light. And it seemed as if it wanted to tell everything. وَزَادَ اَتِلَاقًا يَسُرُّ النَّظَرِ. And the brightness became even more bright. And we could notice that it really wanted to express the feelings that it had towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he starts to speak from the moon's behalf. Just look at their intellect. You know, the people of the Arabs were such. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given all of the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam designated miracles that were related to the people of that time. So if you look at the life of Musa alayhi salam and the staff that he was given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which would turn into a snake, that was because the people of that time were obsessed with magic. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a miracle which was related to the times. During the time of Isa alayhi salam, people were obsessed with medicine. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَأُبْرِئُ الْأَكْمَهَ وَالْأَبْرَصَ بِإِذْنِي وَأُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى بِإِذْنِي. That Allah had given him the power to cure people, to cure diseases, specifically a skin disease. And he could bring people back to life. This is the epitome of medicine. If you speak to doctors, what's the ultimate objective is to save as many human lives as possible. If that is the objective, Allahu a'lam bisawab, Allah knows best. So, and he could grant life through the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we come to the miracles of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the biggest miracle for our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam happened to be in the form of the Quran. And the Quran was a miracle in a way that the people of that time were obsessed with language. Their linguistic capabilities knew no bounds. So, just yesterday I was teaching, we teach Al-Adab Al-Arabi, Arabic literature to the students in the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th year. So I was telling them about an incident that a sha'ir once came across a situation. There was a Khalifa, Abdul Malik bin Marwan, and he was from the family of Banu Umayyah. This is a side topic, but I'm trying to make a point. So Abdul Malik bin Marwan was doing tawaf of the Kaaba, and while he was doing it, nobody was making way for him. So he was in the hustle and the bustle of the people, he was being pushed around. As you know, during the time of Hajj, all of a sudden, Zainul Abidin came, rahimahullah. Zainul Abidin was the grandson of Ali radiallahu anh, and was the son of Hussein radiallahu anh. The moment he entered the haram, people began to part ways. And they made an entire path for him directly leading up towards Hajar al-Aswad. Can you imagine something like that happening? Those of you who have been granted the tawfiq to go over there, nothing like that happens. Unless you're some kind of a high VIP or an important person, and that also happens in this current day and age. But before, nobody would do things, everyone, النَّاسُ فِي ذَلِكَ سَوَاسِيَةٌ أَمَامَ اللَّهِ. Everyone is equal. That's the whole element of the haram itself and the Hajj. That's the theme of Hajj. So, there were people from Syria, and there's a backstory to this as well. Time will not permit me to get into the details of that. There were some people from Syria who were the designated people of government by the Khalifa himself. Syria was newly conquered territory at that time.
They were curious. They said, who is this person? People are not making way for the Khalifa, and they're making way for him. So they asked the Khalifa, who is this person? Khalifa knew, but he was irritated. So he said, La arif, I don't know. He was irritated, he said, I don't know. There was a sha'ir standing next to the Khalifa who was on the payroll of the Khalifa. When he heard that, he said, Ana a'rifuhu. I know. This is the grandson of Ali radiallahu an and the great-great-grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the son of Hussein. I know him. And right then and there, he composed an entire qasida. It's about 21 to 23 lines. Right then and there, poetry. Can anyone do that in this current day and age? So that was the miracle of the people of that time. It was language. That's why when Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt, when he came to, I believe that's his name, when he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said that, Ya Muhammad, oh Muhammad, what do you want? What is it that you seek? What is it that you desire? In kunta turidu malan mallaknaka bihi. If you intend wealth, tell us, we'll give it to you. Stop preaching Islam. If you're looking for money, tell us, we'll give you all the money. If you're looking for someone's hand in marriage, you indicate, you point the finger towards any family, and we'll make it happen. وَإِن كَانَ بِكَ دَاءٌ. And if you have some disease, because the last resort that they had was إِنَّهُ مَجْنُونَ. And that reminds me of small children in school. You know, when they see no avenue out, so they say, you're stupid. That's the last resort. And it will make no sense. But they'll just point their finger at someone. And it's like when they're cornered, they have no way out. So when the people of Makkah were cornered, they would say, إِنَّهُ لَسَاحِرٌ. He's a magician. إِنَّهُ لَكَذَّابٌ. He's a liar. يَأْتِي بِهِ الْجَانِ. The jinnat come to him, shayateen come and they give him this talk or this speech. And the next day, he narrates all of that speech to us. So they said, وَإِن كَانَ بِكَ. If you have some kind of disease, or if you're afflicted by jinnat and shayateen, نَأْتِي بِالْكَهَانَةِ. We'll come with the best of the people who can cure your disease. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not bother replying. And he started reciting Quran. Surah Hamim Sajda, and Kitabun Fussilat Ayatuhu Qur'anan Arabiyan liqawmin ya'qilun. So Utbah, he listened to the Quran, and when the ayah of Sajda came, he went down in sujood. So the people of Makkah, the mushrikeen who were watching from a distance, they said, oh, he's gone too. Now when Uqba was coming back, they said, when they looked at his face, that فَإِنَّهُ يَرْجِعُ إِلَيْنَا بِغَيْرِ وَجْهِهِ الَّذِي ذَهَبَ بِهِ. We see that his face has changed. He's not coming back to us with the same face. Something has changed within him. And when Uqba came, they said, what did he say? وَيْحَكْ مَاذَا قَالَ لَكَ الرَّجُلُ. Destruction for you. What did he say to you? He said he just recited his kalam, his Quran. And they're like, so then? He said, I didn't understand. So they said, وَيْحَكْ يُكَلِّمُكَ الرَّجُلَ بِالْعَرَبِيَّةِ وَلَا تَفْهَمُهُ. The person is talking to you in your own language. How is it possible that you did not understand? This is the miracle of the Quran. That they were people of great linguistic capabilities, and they were arrogant about their capabilities. They would have this annual bazaar in which they would stand and they would compose poetry after poetry. They would give speeches, and this was something that they gained an edge over the rest of the world. Why do you think they call us Ajamis? What's the meaning of Ajami? Ajami, that means non-Arab, but the linguistic meaning of it is someone who's dumb, someone who cannot express themselves. That's why they would call the Ajamis, the non-Arabs Ajamis, because in their opinion, we are not capable of expressing. And wallahi, if you ever get a chance to get a little taste of the Arabic language, you see it. Because the way of expression and the beauty of expression that's in the Arabic language is non-existent in the other languages. And that was the miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So going back to the sha'ir, the linguistic capabilities were such that they would compose ash'ar right then and there on the spot, in the moment. So he says that فَأَبْدَعْ اشْتِيَاقًا لِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ وَزَادَ اتِّلَاقًا يَسُرُّ النَّظَرِ. That the moment I express my desire to the moon, that it tells me or gives me some news about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the beloved companions, it started brimming with light and with excitement. And it asked me, أَتَعْنِ الرَّسُولِ. Do you seek news of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? أَتَعْنِ الرِّجَالِ الَّذِينَ أَمَاتُوا الضَّلَالِ. Or do you want me to tell you a little bit about those men who caused death and destruction of ignorance in the world. The ones who destructed ignorance in the world, because when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, it was an era of complete darkness. الناس في جهالة جهلاء وفي ضلالة عمياء. People were in the thick of ignorance, and there was no higher level of ignorance than that. And I remember mentioning this before in the previous Team Fajr as well, that they were proud about it. You know, someone who is an ignorant individual, first off, nobody admits that they're ignorant. But even if they knew that they were ignorant, they would definitely not be proud about it. But these people were proud. They would say that, أَلَا لَا يَجْهَلًا أَحَدْ عَلَيْنَا فَنَجْهَلَ فَوْقَ جَهْلِ الْجَاهِلِينَ. Nobody dare teach us the ways of ignorance, because then we will start to teach them. We will school them and educate them about ignorance. This was their hala, and this was their condition. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is so that we get a glance and a glimpse into the difficulties that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced. And the reason why that is because we complain in this day and age that our life is complete darkness. And we complain that our life is full of stress and worry. And it's from one concern to the other. And we say that there's no happiness in life. I remember mentioning the same point yesterday during the Jummah khutbah as well, that we are in pursuit of happiness. And if you look at the Declaration of Independence, that it states the same thing, that it's life, liberty, justice, in pursuit of happiness, that we have a free will to pursue the things which make us happy. Correct? But then, as human beings, we know that happiness is not eternal. Each and every single thing in this world, or anything attached to this world, is temporary. It will be here for a while, and then it will leave. And even the happiness of this world is fake, and it's short-lived. It's nothing, it's not permanent. That's why the Shaikh, he said that Mali ara unasan wala anisan. What is wrong with me that I see a lot of people, a lot of human beings, but they seem to be empty shells. Yes, they do have a display of emotions on the surface, but the display of emotion does not come from within them. They're empty shells. Ara unasan, I see people, la anisan. Anis is a person that you could sit down with and talk for hours and hours. It's a person that you can develop a bond, a relationship with. And that's one of the defining characteristics of the insan, the human being. Once again, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have given him a place of respect for all in front of all of mankind. So he says that مَالِي أَرَى أُنَاسًا وَلَا أَنِيسًا. Then he says, وَأَرَى أَنِيسًا. And sometimes I do see people who have feelings, لَكِنْ لَا أَرَى حَسِيسًا. But I don't see, yes, they speak. They're chatterboxes, they talk. But the effect of their words does not go within themselves. They're just empty shells, and they're just mere words, but nothing, no reality attached to it whatsoever. And that's why, not the older generation, but when you sit down with the younger generation, you see that within them. There's a lot of talk, and there's a lot of aspirations and desires, but there's nothing that will tell us that there's any way for the fulfillment of these desires. And nothing can give us a better picture of that than the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Rasulullah khatta khutatan sigaran. He made a column in which he made different lines on the sides. And then he made another longer line which exceeded the column itself. It was going outside the column. And he said that these lines that you see on the side are the different calamities and different difficulties that the son of Adam faces in this worldly life. Once he escapes one, he ends up in another one. And that sheds light that this world or this worldly life was never meant to be complete happiness or permanent happiness. So he said that these lines that you see on the side, there are several lines. Each one of them is a difficulty, it's a calamity. The moment you're able to free yourself from one of them, you find yourself in the thick of another one. And the cycle goes on and on. And that one line in the middle, and he also said, فَإِنْ أَخْطَاهُ هَذَا نَهَشَهُ هَذَا وَإِنْ أَخْطَاهُ هَذَا نَهَشَهُ هَذَا. That if this one were to miss him, the second one would afflict him. If the second one would miss him, the third one would afflict him. So constant worry and trouble in this worldly life. And then he indicated towards the longer line that was exceeding the box itself. What did he say about that? وَهَذَا الَّذِي خَارِجُهُ وَهَذَا الَّذِي خَارِجٌ أَمَلُهُ. The line that is exceeding the column and exceeds the box itself, those are the desires of the insan. They're the desires of the insan, and the box itself is life. It's the lifespan of the human being. So the life will finish, but the desires will never finish. Once again, pursuit of happiness. That we're trying to pursue that ideal life, the ideal lifestyle, and we spent our entire lives looking for it. And we never reach the ultimate destination. We're so lost. And that's why I remember mentioning this sha'ir yesterday as well, that the sha'ir says, Muddat hui sayyad ne choda bhi to kya? Muddat hui sayyad ne choda bhi to kya? Tabe parwaz nahi, rahe chaman yaad nahi. He means that the bird is saying that I have been in prison for such a long time that when the person who put me in prison let me go free, I don't know how to fly anymore. That's how lost we are. He says, I don't know how to fly anymore, and I also do not remember the path back to the garden where I was taken from. It's been such a long time. And this is our life story. This is my story and your story, that from childhood, we're groomed in a way where we're told that your life is meant to be, is for a worthy cause. Yes, we do give them the understanding of deen. But at the same time, we tell them that if you want stability in life, then you need to follow the process. So hence we send them to school in childhood, and then we tell them, okay, this is not the end of it. After that, you're going to kindergarten, then you're going to middle school, then high school, then you're going to college, and then you're going to go to university, then you're pursuing a degree, and then you're getting a job. So we give them these series of goals until they get there. By the time we reach that job idea, the ideal job idea, more than half of the life is gone. Where does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam fit into the equation? None of these things are wrong. Nobody ever said that studying or acquiring a skill or talent by which you can earn money is wrong. خَيْرُ عَمَلِ ابْنِ آدَمْ مِنْ كَسْبِ يَدَيْهِ. That the best of the sustenance for the son of Adam is the one that he earns by the work and the hard work of his two hands. It's not wrong. But when you look at the life of Sahaba, they were also following the deen itself. And they were definitely at a higher level. But they gave equal time to both. They were indulged in deen, and they were also indulged in dunya. So going back to the aspect of desire, and the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam states that the dust of the grave will only be able to fill the desires of the son of Adam. That when a person reaches the grave, and everything that proves his existence will finish, with that finishes the desires of the son of Adam. And that is the story of our life itself. And it's something that we definitely need to think about. That is this really and truly who we are meant to be as Muslims? Is this the objective that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam laid down for us? I keep mentioning the qawl of the tabi'i again and again, Hatim al-Asam rahimahullah, and it's full of wisdom. He says that when I looked towards the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I found that nothing was permanent. فَرَأَيْتُ كُلَّ وَاحِدٍ يُفَارِقُ مَحْبُوبَهُ. Each and every single one of us were forced to leave the things that we love behind. They were taken from us, they were snatched away from us. Be it the objects, the beloved objects we have in our life, or in the form of the individuals that we love from the bottom of our heart. He said we invest in these relationships, just like the way we invest in dunya. We're giving it everything, 100%. But it is taken away from us, and it is snatched away from us. So he says that I found that each and every single one of these things is useless. Why invest in something which is not even loyal to me? And it is taken away from me at a moment's notice. I don't even have free will in keeping possession of it or it being taken out of my possession. You know, take the example of a cell phone that may be in your hand. If it falls to the ground and the screen cracks, what do you do with it? It's garbage. You'll throw it away. Or the car that you wax on a daily basis, you take it out, it gets into an accident. Will you bring it back? That piece of junk, will you put it in your driveway? No, now it belongs in the junkyard. You don't even want to look at it. It looks so ugly. So this is the reality of the dunya itself. That's why Allah said in the Quran, اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم وتكاثر في الأموال والأولاد. That know, O creation, that this worldly life, حياة الدنيا لعب ولهو, it's just a play of shaitan. It's indulgence in baseless and useless things, things that get you nowhere. And zinatun, it's adornment. That's what we do. A lot of times when we are adorning ourselves with the possessions of dunya, what is it that we have in mind? So that when other people see us, and this sheds the light on the diseases of the inside. The diseases that, there are diseases that are apparent that can be seen. If someone has a skin disease, you can see it. If someone has heart disease, you can feel it. They need to go to the hospital, they get tested. Their arteries are clogged. Your lifespan is diminishing. You can see that type of stuff. Then there are diseases that are on the inside. Al-amrad al-batiniyah, that nobody can see and nobody can feel, but they're there. And they influence the decisions of the son of Adam. So it's zina fima bainakum, where you're trying to boast in front of each other. And it's all showing off. That's why we adorn ourselves with the adornments of dunya. Then tafakhurun bainakum. And so that you can be arrogant and you can show off your worldly possessions to each other. And you can feel special. There's this common feeling amongst the younger generation and younger crowd that I'm special. And from a very young age, they're fed that mentality. None of us are special. Yes, we are all slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we're meant to be humble slaves of Allah. The concept that we're given that the world is yours and it belongs to you, that's the concept that's given to the younger generation. Yes, it's very good, it's very encouraging, because it forces you to move forward in life. But at the same time, when those expectations are not met, then the natural reaction of the insan is depression. And it's not meant, once again, it was never meant to be perfect. Perfection can never be attained in this worldly life. So the insan needs to turn his focus away from these things. Yes, they need to be in his life to ensure that he remains focused on the ultimate goal. So the presence of these things are meant to be in his life. Like I said at the beginning, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. The insan is given a place of respect, a status of respect in mankind, and everything that's in the world and the universe was meant to be a service to this insan. So these things are meant to serve us. But is that service for nothing? Is it for nothing? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. This wind, the trees, the other creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that help us live in this world, they were meant to be of service to this insan. But is all of that for nothing? Is all of that in vain? Is this insan without an objective and without a purpose in this world? Allah says in the Quran, أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا. That do you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you abath, without any objective in this world? So that you come, you live, you enjoy life, you eat, you defecate, you go to sleep, and then you die? Is that the ultimate objective of life in this world? All of the rest of the creation of Allah does that as well. The animal in the jungle, the monkey on the trees, they do the same thing. They live their life, they enjoy life, they go from one tree to the other tree, they feed their young, and they try to survive, and then they pass away, ultimately they die. So this insan was sent into this world with a higher purpose. And the Sahabi, in the words of the Sahabi, he said, Allahu ibta'athana لِنُخْرِجَ مَنْ شَاءَ مِنْ عِبَادَةِ الْعِبَادِ إِلَىٰ عِبَادَةِ رَبِّ الْعِبَادِ. That this insan was meant to be a beacon of hope and light for the rest of mankind. It's never been the case in this universe, in this world, that the majority people were Muslim. But the insan was meant to make an effort on those lines. That all of mankind can be taken out of the foolishness of this worldly life, and they can see the success of Islam itself. When we study ulum shar'iyya, the Islamic sciences, normally at the start of the term, and it's usually in the higher years when you're teaching a new subject, starting from fiqh to hadith to sarf, nahaf, basic Arabic grammar, we teach them that the ultimate objective is al-fawzu bi sa'adat ad-darain. It's success in both worlds, in this world and in the life hereafter. A lot of times we think that when we're meant to focus on the hereafter, we have no benefits in this worldly life. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the benefit. مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً. You are given a peaceful and no, not money. We're not talking about money. Money, that's how we understand, or that's how we weigh success in our life. That if I have ample amount of money, a good car and a good house, okay, I'm successful. But none of those things guarantees a peaceful and a tranquil life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you that in this worldly life. And in the hereafter, there is a sa'ada al-abadiyya, eternal success in the form of Jannah and the ru'ya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to focus on the ultimate objective. The objective and the purpose with which we were sent into this world. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that necessary focus. In the end, I will say, yes, we did explain the elevated status of the insan. وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَىٰ كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. But with it is the attachment of weakness. The very masdar of the insan is nisyan, which is forgetfulness, that he quickly forgets. And that's why we remind ourselves, we try to frequent the majalis in which we're reminded. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the understanding. We'll do dhikr inshallah for 5 to 7 minutes. Inshallah, pray ishraq and then head for breakfast.